Okay, so our objectives for today, we're going to learn how to solve proportions using cross products. This should be a review of something you've done in the past and should be fairly easy. The second one is a little trickier. We're going to set up proportions from word problems and then we'll use cross products to solve them. Okay, so here's how I want you to set up your problems or your proportions using cross products. So this is just your list of steps. So I want you first to write the proportion down. So say you're doing a problem out of your textbook. If you're doing a worksheet, the proportion's already there, you don't have to write it down. But if you are working in your textbook, you should write the problem down first. So say I have a proportion that tells me that 2/9 is equal to 11 over something, I don't know what, 11 over x. Your first step would be to write it down. The second thing that I want you to do is write the cross products. So if I multiply the cross products, they are going to be equal. So I have 2 times x has to equal 11 times 9. Then I'm going to multiply this through to simplify. So my next step says 2x equals 99. Now to solve that, that's a one-step equation. I am going to need to do what to both sides? Right?
Divide by 2.
Good. Divide both sides by 2. So I'm going to write this out separately here so it's a little clearer, but you can add it to the same step. So divided by 2, and then when I divide, I find that x equals 49.5. Okay, so that's the process you're going to go through. I'm not incredibly picky about writing out this step, so if you want to just write 2x equals 99 and then show me that you divided both sides by 2, x equals 49.5, that would be a fine amount of work to show. Okay, let's do a couple examples. So we have 25 divided by 38, or 25 out of 38 is equal to 15 out of how many? So let's write our cross products. 25x equals 38 times 15. I'm going to multiply that through. 38 times 15 is 570. Now what do I need to do? Bella?
Divide by 25.
Good. Divide both sides by 25. What I do, I get that x equals 22.8. Okay, any questions? Okay, on the next slide, 3 problems for you to try. I want you to set them up the same way. I would encourage you, if you want to use a calculator, you may, because doing things like 38 times 15, you certainly can do that off to the side, but it's quicker if you just use your calculator.
Oh, wait,
Okay, I'm just going to display these answers. If you're watching the video, we worked on this in class, so just pause the video to check your answers. Okay, questions about any of these? Okay, moving on. This is where it gets interesting. Writing proportions from word problems. We have an oyster bed covers 36 square meters. Your class studies 4 square meters of the oyster bed. In those 4 square meters, you count 96 oysters. Predict the number of oysters in the entire bed. So what we want to do is we want to write a ratio using 2 of the things that we have up there. What are 2 of the quantities or units that we have? Go ahead, Kayla.
Square meters.
Okay. Square meters, so how big the oyster bed is, the size, and then what's the other thing that we have a number? Size, we have a 36 square meter and we have a 4 square meter. We also have this number here. What does that represent? How many oysters there are. So we have size of the bed to the number of oysters. That's the ratio that we can write. Okay, so in 4 square meters, we count 96 oysters. So these 2 things go together. In a 4 square meter bed, we count 96 oysters. So I'm going to write 4 to 96. There are going to be 4 oysters, or In every 4 square meters, there are going to be 96 oysters. On the other side, where am I going to put the 36? Would I put that on the top or would I put it on the bottom? Brian? On the top. Why?
Because you put the size on top and the oyster on the
Yeah.
bottom.
I have to make sure both sides of my proportion have the same units on the top in my ratio. So the top is for size, the bottom is for number of oysters. So the size of this bed is 36 square meters. We don't know how many oysters are in the bed. So we're going to use X to represent that we don't know. I was tempted to use an O for oysters, but what would be the problem with using O for oysters?
0.
Diane? Yeah, an O would look like 0. So we don't ever use O as a variable. There's a little Greek letter. I can't remember what it's called. It kind of looks like this. Sometimes you'll see that, but you can't just use a plain O because it would look like 0. All right, now to find out how many oysters are in the entire bed, which is 36 square meters, we just need to solve this proportion. So we're going to cross multiply 4x equals, I already did this, 3,456. Dividing both sides by 4, we get a value of x equals 864. So we can predict that there are 864 oysters in the entire bed. Now, something else I want to mention. You could also have done this problem the other way. You could have put oysters on top and size on the bottom, as long as you did it to both sides of your proportion. It would be okay. Yes?
Couldn't you just get the answer by dividing 36 by 4?
Because then you would be getting equivalent fractions. Yes, you could, wait, dividing 36 by 4? No.
Times 9.
You could do, yeah, you could do that one. Okay, let's look at another example. I do want you to set these up using proportions, so to make sure you know how to do it this way. You buy a bag of 400 marbles. In a handful of 20 marbles, you find 8 red marbles. About how many red marbles are in the bag? So what are our 2 units that we're talking about up here for this ratio? Volunteer. What's one of the units? Just tell me one of them. David?
3 marbles.
Okay, how many marbles? So we could do marbles, or in this case, well, let's see, we've got marbles, we've got 2 types of marbles here. We've got how many marbles there are altogether, and then we have what else? How many are red? So we've got red marbles and the total number of marbles. So red marbles out of total marbles. I could also do total on the top, red on the bottom if I wanted to. Okay, so what numbers go with what? It says you buy a bag of 400, in a handful of 20 marbles you find 8 red marbles. Which numbers up there go together? Nathan, what do you think? Do the 8 red marbles go with the handful of 20 or do they go with the 400?
They go 20.
They go with a handful of 20. So we want to take our 8 red marbles. There are 8 red marbles in a handful of 20. Where am I going to put the 400? Michael, what do you think?
400 over X.
Does the 400 represent red marbles or total marbles? Total marbles. So we want to put the 400 on the bottom in this ratio. And the red marbles is what I don't know because it asks how many red marbles are in the bag. So I want to put that as my X. Okay, now multiplying using cross products, I have 20 X equals 8 times 400, which is 8 times 4 is 32. So it's a 32 with 2 zeros, which is 2,200. Dividing both sides by 20, I get X equals 160. So there's about 160 marbles in the bag. Okay, any questions? I want you to try the next slide. There are 2 problems on the next slide. All right, we're going to start to go over this. Hopefully, I think everyone has the donut problem at least done. Volunteer for the donut problem. Brian, go ahead. Did you do? Okay, go ahead. No, just tell me.
5/3.85.
Okay, so you did donuts over cost.
Yeah.
Okay? Some people did cost over donuts, and that's fine as long as you put the right things together. So there's 5 donuts. They cost $3.85. Okay? Now what goes on the other side?
2/x.
2 over x. So it's asking us what is the cost of 2 donuts. So we have 2 donuts. We don't know what they cost, so we put x. We could put c for cost. That would work here. Okay, when you did the proportion, what did you get as an answer?
X equal, wait. X
Matt, leave to the
equals
office. Matt, leave to the office.
$1.54.
Good, $1.54. So the work, you would have 5x equals 7.7, and then when you divide, you get $1.54. I'm going to add in the dollar sign. Okay, volunteer for the driving problem. Kayla.
225 over 4.5.
Okay, so you chose to do miles per hour. You could also do hours per mile. Wait, what did I say? You did miles per hour. I was saying one thing, trying to write the other thing. Okay, what did you put on the other side?
600 over x.
Okay, so we have 600 miles over X hours. What did you get as an answer?
X equals 12 miles per hour.
Good. X equals 12. Well, it's actually not miles per hour because we're just finding the bottom, which is just the unit of hours. So X would equal 12 hours. If we found the unit rate, if we did 225 divided by 4.5, then we would have an answer in miles per hour. But here we're not finding the rate, we're finding the single unit of hours. Okay. We're going to stop there.